I'm reviewing today the Patchwork Girl of Oz, book number 7 in the Complete Stories of Oz series by L. Frank Baum. Apologies for doing this review while just holding up my phone with my hand. Apologies in advance for the inevitable shakiness which will start to occur halfway through this review when my arm gets tired, etc. We're doing a move over here, so I'm still without my normal filming place and my normal pile of books to set the phone down on. So hopefully after this week, I'll get back into a more comfortable way of filming videos. But in the meantime, you'll just have to bear with me. I'll try and make this a bit of a shorter review because I'm not sure I've got a ton of interesting things to say about this book. But first of all, by way of introduction, doing the Oz books as a buddy reads with Dane Cobain over at Dane Reads. At the moment I am filming this review, I have seen his written review on his website, which I will link to down below. At the moment I'm filming, he has not yet posted his video review, so I haven't seen that yet, but whenever it gets posted, I'll update the description down below with a link to that. I'm also drawing off information I got from Wikipedia, which I'll update in the link down below. Sorry, not update. I will post in the description down below. Blah. I'm also drawing on information and insights that I get from Marie Ness, who did a review of the whole Oz series about 10 years ago on Tor.com, which is worth checking out. I'll link down to her review of this book. She went through and she reviewed them all, and it makes for interesting reading if you're into that kind of stuff. Okay, so the Patchwork Girl of Oz. This is book number 7. Now, L. Frank Baum had intended book number 6 to be his last book. He apparently he never wanted to get into a long Oz series. He wanted to follow his muse out in different directions. But similar to Arthur Conan Doyle, the public just wouldn't let him quit. And according to Wikipedia, it was financial necessity that drove him back to the Oz series. I guess he needed the money, and I guess his other series were not selling. Again, in the meantime, he had tried another series called the Sea Fairies, which I've not read, but familiar with from Wikipedia. And I believe some of those characters will end up coming over to the Oz series later. There's like this whole Oz expanded universe. I'll talk about that more in a second, maybe. But he ended up back with another Oz book. This one was published in 1913. And the previous book, he had tried to end the series by saying Oz is now covered by this magic that makes it invisible to the outside world, so there's no way we can get any more Oz stories. I'm really sorry, kids, I can't do it. But this book, he starts off saying that he's got a wireless telegraph communication with Dorothy, so now he can communicate with Dorothy. The Patchwork Girl of Oz is the longest book in this series so far. In terms of the page counts here, most of the other books are just slightly under 100 pages, where the Patchwork Girl of Oz is about 120 pages, I believe. I have to do math, actually, to work out the page counts, but something like that. All of these Oz stories are similar in that they're all a journey. So you walk around, the main characters are going on a journey, and then they encounter strange creatures along the way. Strange, bizarre creatures, and they overcome obstacles along the way, but it's essentially a journey story. You walk around and you encounter strange stuff. This one mixes things up a little bit because we start with two completely new characters, Unk and Ojo, who are two munchkins living in the middle of the forest. Unk, Nunky, and Ojo. So, with the exception of book number 2, The Marvelous Land of Oz, every other book has started out with Dorothy. So this is the first time since book number 2 that we've started out in the Land of Oz with two new characters that we've never encountered before. But it turns out that Unk Nunky is friends with the wizard who makes the Powder of Life, which has been a plot point in how many Oz books? A major plot point in at least one, the Marvelous Land of Oz, but we never got to meet the wizard who was making this. Turns out he's not actually a bad guy, although he was, in book number 2, he was friends with the witch Mombi, who was portrayed as a bad witch. But he's doing magic, and he shouldn't be doing magic because Asthma, the ruler of Oz, has forbidden it. But it seems like a nice guy. And he's got various things around his house that he has turned to life. A glass cat, which he's used the Powder of Life on. He wants to make the Powder of Life for his wife to make a servant. And his wife is making a patchwork girl, and that's where the title of this book comes from, the Patchwork Girl of Oz. Although, as has been pointed out by other people, that the name's a bit of a misnomer because Ojo, the Munchkin boy, is the main character of this book. It's frequent for the books in the series to have titles that are misnomers. There's an accident that happens, and the magician's wife and Ojo's uncle, Nunky, are turned into statues by a different magic powder. And so the magician says there's a way to reverse this, but you need a bunch of different things. You need oil from a living man. You need water from a dark well that's never seen the light of day. You need the wing of a yellow butterfly. You need the 3 hairs from a woozy's tail. What else do you need? You need a bunch of stuff. And so this is their quest now. They've got to go out and find this stuff. So Ojo goes out with the Patchwork Girl and accompanied by the glass cat. And then they make more friends along the way. They meet the woozy. They meet the Shaggy man who had been in previous Oz stories. Who else do they meet? Oh, there was also an accident with the Powder of Life. Some of it got spilled on the phonograph machine. You know, those old record players. So the phonograph is now alive, actually, and is walking around playing records and annoying people. And this is a little bit of interesting trivia I found out from Marie Ness's review. I guess in the original publication, the phonograph is playing these jazz records that everyone hates. And in the original publication, the lyrics to the jazz records that the phonograph was playing was "My Lulu, my coal black Lulu," and it's supposed to be "my Lulu," but it's spelled M-A-H. So "my Lulu, my coal black Lulu." The singer is in love with somebody named Lulu, whose skin is apparently coal black. And I suppose it might be open for debate whether or not that's entirely a derogatory reference. I guess it's a stereotypical reference. I guess nowadays it's a reference that won't fly. It's perceived as racist to refer to somebody as coal black. So in my edition here, I never even realized that reference was in there, because it's referring to my Lulu, my cross-eyed Lulu. So the coal black has been referred to as, has been replaced by cross-eyed. But if you go to the version on Project Gutenberg, or at least one of the versions on Project Gutenberg, there's a couple different versions, I think, because Project Gutenberg has updated their library a few times, so there's like older versions and newer versions, but at least one of the versions on Project Gutenberg has the original, the coal black on it. But that's yeah, it strikes me as interesting, because I never realized the publishers were tinkering with L. Frank Baum's stuff, because, you know, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff you could tinker with theoretically, but I guess that's one thing that would not fly today. And, you know, fair enough, it's a children's book. You know, if this was an adult book, you'd say, well, let's not tinker with the classics. But if it's something that's being read by children, I can perhaps see. Well, I don't know, actually. Sorry, this is the danger of filming videos unscripted. I'm thinking out loud. It's a classic book. Should you tinker with the original text of it? You know, it was published before World War I. Anyways, moving on. So they're going on a journey. This is, I think, the only Oz book we've gotten to so far where the members of the journey get switched out halfway through. So when they get to the Emerald City, then the Glass Cat and Shaggy Man and the Woozy all say, okay, we'll just stay at the Emerald City and chill. We don't need to go on the rest of this journey with you. And then Dorothy and the Scarecrow, Dorothy and the Scarecrow, who else? Maybe just Dorothy and the Scarecrow join in on the journey, and later on they meet up with the Tin Woodmen. And yes, it's a typical Oz story. They journey around, they meet up with, they encounter bizarre things. Marie Ness, in her review again, mentioned that there was another unfortunate incident with, another incident with unfortunate racial overtones, which is trouble with the Tottenhots. Now, the version I'm reading here does not have any of the pictures preserved in this, so I don't know how this looks on the pictures. Although I can easily check on Project Gutenberg because they have the illustrations there. Apologies, I didn't check before the review. I'll check this after the review. But the way they're described in the book made me think that they were just like some sort of pixie-type creatures. But Marie Ness says that the Tottenhots are meant to call to mind the Hottentots, I think, which is a tribe in Africa. So that is something else which has unfortunate racial stereotyping, and that one is still in this book. They didn't take out that part. I don't know if in the original text there would have been like references to dark skin or something that they rewrote part of it. But anyways, yeah, typical walk around, encounter strange stuff type story. The only other thing maybe that's interesting to comment on, one of the things they need to collect is a 6-leaf clover. And the Shaggy Man tells them that Asthma has forbidden anyone to get a 6-leaf clover. But Ojo does it anyways, because he needs it to save his uncle. And then Asthma finds out, because Asthma was watching on the magic picture. The Oz is portrayed a little bit like a surveillance state. where Asthma is watching everything all the time. Now, like, of course, in reality, she couldn't possibly be watching everything all the time because she's just one person. But you never want to bring logic into these Oz books too much. There are plenty of leaps of logic, and you just have to go with it. So when they get to Oz, Ojo is immediately ordered arrested and locked up. Now, Marie Ness, in her review of this whole series of books over at Tor.com, has got a running theme going where she's always criticizing Asthma for being a terrible ruler, which is going against the framing of the books, because the framing of the books is L. Frank Baum is constantly telling you how wonderful Asthma is. But if you look at what actually Asthma does, she seems to be very unhelpful or make poor decisions in each particular book. It's funny, somebody said in the comments to Marie Ness's review that perhaps maybe L. Frank Baum was trying to sneak something under the radar about the dangers of an absolute monarch, by having, on one hand, having the framing of the story being everyone agrees how wonderful Asthma is, but if you actually look at what Asthma actually does, she seems to go from screw up to screw up. So I was reading this section and I thought, I already know what Marie Ness is going to say. It just seems ridiculous to arrest poor Ojo for picking the 6-leaf clover. And it does turn out that there's a reason for it. And the reason is because the 6-leaf clover is used for magic and Asthma has forbidden magic. Although Marie Ness points out in her review that this seems to be inconsistent. There are people in Oz like Glinda the Good Witch and the Wizard of Oz who practice magic. But whatever. So it seems really harsh that Ojo is arrested for this. But on the other hand, we get a very interesting view of what prison is like in the land of Oz. And here again we get a glimpse of Oz as a utopia, where Ojo is brought to the prison, and it's a very wonderful, luxurious place where he's given everything he wants, and the prison guard is a kindly woman who treats him very kindly and plays games with him. And Ojo says, well, what's going on here? I thought this was supposed to be prison. And the woman says, well, here in Oz, we treat our prisoners kindly because they are under a double misfortune. The first misfortune is they know that they've done something wrong. So, they've got that weighing down on their conscience. And the second misfortune is that they've lost their freedom. So there's no need to treat them harshly. In addition to this, if you treat them harshly, then they're just going to develop hard and bitter. And they will never mend their ways. So you have to treat them kindly, and that the kindness will reform them. And it struck me, it was one of those passages where you think to yourself, wouldn't it be nice? Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if that's the way prisons actually worked? And I know there's a whole bunch of questions about practicality and all that kind of stuff. But wouldn't it be nice if that was a guiding principle? Because I don't think anyone can deny that the prison does, the way it's currently being run, it does make people hard and bitter, and doesn't seem to help with reforming them. So just you get glimpses in these Oz stories about bits of Utopia, where you think, wouldn't it be nice if we could structure our society that way? One other interesting little thing here. I mentioned earlier about the extended universe of Oz. This is, again, information I'm getting off of Wikipedia, but one of L. Frank Baum's first books was something like The Magical Monarch of Mo. And in that book, there is a wise donkey. Apparently, he ate all the books in the library. And then because he ate all the books in the library, he became quite wise. And the wise donkey now shows up in this book in the Land of Oz. So that Ojo and his friends are traveling through the forest. They see a sign that says like advice given from the wise donkey and the foolish owl. I'm not sure if the foolish owl also originated in the other book or not. But at any rate, they go over there and they meet the wise donkey and they talk to him. And he said, yeah, I'm actually from the land of Mo, but I was over to visit in Oz. And then I happened to be here when Asthma sealed off Oz from the outside world. So now I'm living permanently in Oz, I guess. So that's, I mean, I've been talking throughout my reviews about the crossovers between the Oz books and the other books that L. Frank Baum has written, and how there's, even beyond the canonical Oz books, there's this whole extended universe of Oz books. And I don't know if one of these days I'm going to try and track down those other books and try to read the other books that L. Frank Baum has written, which cross over with the Oz series. At the moment, I'm just concentrating on the Oz series. But I just find that interesting that there's this whole extended Oz, extended universe thing. Okay, I think that's all the everything intelligent I have to say, or everything I have to say about this book, intelligent or not. So we'll finish off here.